Hello, everyone, and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video, Core Pick live stream for today, Friday, July 28th. A little bit different start time today, so I do apologize for that if it did affect anybody's experience overall. But obviously, this is a live stream, but you can watch it on replay as well. But first of all, if you're joining me for the very first time, this is the way today's video will be structured. No recap today since we just went over the overview of the slate in totality yesterday. So we're just going to look at weather report for today. It's a 14-game main slate. So quite a bit of teams out there to play, quite a bit of teams to choose from. Good day to mix and match as always. And then after we look at the weather report, we're going to go over to FanDuel, talk about my core picks for today. There's going to be one pitcher, 4 hitters. So it's going to be guys that I like based on past experience, a combination of that and recent experience in their respective matchups. And then after that, we'll go over to the YouTube community tab, talk about my cheat sheet and the bottom half of that and the top GPP teams to stack. Once again, that cheat sheet is 100% free. It's up on Twitter. It's up on Facebook. It's up on the YouTube community tab. So definitely be sure to check that out as you are building out your lineups today. If you're interested in some more in-depth notes Monday through Friday, hitter versus pitcher matchups, pitchers, whether I would consider them in void in play or risky play overall. And then a little bit more teams to potentially stack. Be sure to check out the Patreon page at patreon.com/Coach Craig Sports. But without further ado, we'll get started with some weather report for today. So there are a few different weather spots that we're looking at today, Baltimore and New York. So that game's out in Baltimore, 32% chance of rain there. So we'll keep an eye on that one throughout the day. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. So that is 39% chance of rain. That's another one that we'll be keeping an eye out on in Pittsburgh. Toronto, no, obviously nothing there. But Chicago, the White Sox, 42% chance of rain versus the Cleveland Guardians. So we'll keep an eye out on that one once again. Let's see, 22% chance of rain in Atlanta. So a smaller chance there, but still one we'll keep an eye out on throughout the day. Very small chance in Kansas City at this point in time. Keep moving down here. 31% chance out in Colorado. Obviously, that Colorado weather can change on a dime, so we'll have to see. But nothing too major at this point in time. We're keep moving down, though. So keep moving down here. And that last game still got to pull up there. So really just about the 3 or 4 games that we'll be keeping an eye on. Nothing over 40% at this point in time. If anything does majorly change throughout the day, we'll have it down in the comments and we'll have as many of the starting lineups as I can get to throughout the day down there as well. So definitely be sure to checking up on that as we get closer to lock. But with that being said, we're going to close out of this screen. We'll get over to FanDuel and talk about those core picks for today. So let me get FanDuel brought up here real quick. And we're going to start off at the pitcher position today. Obviously, there's 14 games in total. There's 28 pitchers pitching. You don't have to roll with just the one that I have listed here. Obviously, mix and match, and especially from the pitcher position, is a big factor, especially when you want GPP success and getting exposure to different guys. So the guy that I have today is Sonny Gray. Seems like a lot of the times when I pick him, though, ultimately ends up not working out. But all the signs are pointing pretty well for him today. He's $10,100. He's cheaper than some of the other higher end pitchers today. He still has a similar upside to a lot of those guys. At the same time, he's got good history versus the Kansas City Royals in the past. His 2 starts versus them this year are 24 and 46 points. So obviously we're looking more towards the 46 side than the 24 side. I remember that 46 start, and I believe that was one of the ones when we used him as a core play, but ultimately didn't end up panning out in that start. But then last year versus the Royals, he had 55, 58, and 37 points. So some pretty good history there versus them just in general, a guy that we like quite a bit for today. And like I said, $10,100, averaging just under 29 fantasy points per game on the season, 315 area, only 4 wins. That's kind of the biggest thing hurting him so far. If he's not getting that win bonus, that's an extra 6 points. But he's pitched pretty well throughout the season. So as long as the Twins get him a little bit of run support and they have decent history versus Brady Singer, could be a good day for Sonny Gray overall. But obviously, like I said, a lot of different pitchers out there. Good day to mix and match, especially from that position once again. Then in first base, we're going with Paul Goldschmidt. He's up to $4,000 at this point in time. Been hitting the ball pretty well once again. Average about 12 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Chicago Cubs, team that he typically does pretty well against. He's going against Drew Smyly, most likely on the mound today. 5 for 12 with 1 home run versus Smyly in his career. He's got hits in 4 out of his last 5 games. The only game that he didn't was the most recent game, but if you even look back a little bit further, he's been really doing well once again. He's got 2 home runs in those last 5 games as well. So guy that we do like today has a really good upside. I do like the Cardinals as a potential team to stack as well. Then we're going to move down to Jeff McNeil. So you can play him at second base. You can play him at outfield. The underlying stats on the season, not the greatest, but $2,700, averaging just over 7.5 fantasy points per game. Guy that really hasn't been hitting quite as well as he typically has done in past seasons. Only the 3 home runs at this point in time, 249 average, 33 RBIs. But goes against Mackenzie Gore today. He's 4 for 4 versus him in his career. So small sample size there, but a very excellent one at that. So do like that today. I like the versatility. I like the cheap price tag. Even if you're just running them out as a one-off, could make some sense. But, if it's somebody that you don't ultimately want to end up playing in your lineups, that's ultimately your choice as well. He's got at least one hit in 5 out of his last 6 games. So a pretty safe floor there. Obviously, we would like him to at least hit a home run or steal a base or something to kind of boost him a little bit over the top, but maybe a little bit better cash gameplay than a GPP, but seems pretty safe at this point in time, has that versatility and the cheap price tag overall. So we're going to keep moving down now, and we get down to Tyler O'Neill. Tyler O'Neill, he's only $2,500. Another cheap guy today, averaging just over 7 fantasy points per game on the season. Only a 252 average, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs on the season. But he's been banged up quite a bit so far this season. So when we look back, since he's came back from his injury, he has hit safely in, I believe, 6 out of his last 8 games since he returned. He's got 2 multi-hit games in his last 2 recent games. They're both double-digit points. The game before that, 0 for 4, and then before that, there was double-digit points again. So when you're talking about a guy that's $2,500 that has the type of upside, if we're thinking Tyler O'Neill is fully healthy, this is probably a guy that's $3,000. So the fact that we're still getting a discount on him in a matchup versus Drew Smyly, where he is 2 for 6 with a home run versus Drew Smyly, a lot of signs point to this being a favorable price point for him. Maybe he gets a decent amount of ownership today, but if you're playing a Cardinal snack, definitely would recommend him as long as he's in that starting lineup once again. But we're going to get off of him, and then we're going to go down to another guy that I think is a pretty decent value at this point in time, $3,300 Bryce Harper. You can play him at first base. You can play him in outfield. Obviously, we already got Paul Goldschmidt at first base at this point in time. Bryce Harper, 296 average, 5 home runs, 30 RBIs. About 10.5 fantasy points per game, $3,300. Obviously, the power quite hasn't been there so far this season, but it's a pretty favorable matchup for him versus Mitch Keller. I know Mitch Keller's pitched better this season, but Bryce Harper 4 for 6 versus him in his career. He's got hits in 12. He's got hits in 12 out of his last 14 games. So looking pretty solid there. A safe floor, but at the same time, we were looking for a little bit of that upside. Hopefully he smashes a home run today. And when we're talking about full Bryce Harper, he's probably close to like $3,900. So we're getting a little bit of discount here. Hopefully today's the day when he kind of breaks out and has that big day for us overall, though. But with that being said, if you were go with the 5 picks that I do have here, you have $12,400 remaining, $3,100 per player. So still some room and flexibility, whether you want to pay up. If you're building out that full Cardinal stack and you want to throw a Nolan Arenado in there, you still have enough money to do that and then kind of pay down in a couple other spots. Or if you want to take a little bit more balanced approach, just definitely fine on tonight's slate as well. But with that being said, we're going to get off this screen. We'll get over to the YouTube community tab and the bottom half of my cheat sheet and talk about the top GPP teams to stack for tonight's slate overall. So talked about him quite a bit already, but we got the St. Louis Cardinals going against Drew Smyly today, most likely for the Cubs. He did pitch a couple bulk innings the other day, so we'll see if that changes throughout the day, but all signs point to him still. So you got guys like Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Tyler O'Neill, Dylan Carlson. All these guys have pretty good history versus him. And then if you want to mix and match any other pieces from that Cardinals lineup in there, you can definitely do that as well. And then we have the Philadelphia Phillies. Excuse me, my nose itching a little bit here today. But the Philadelphia Phillies, they're going against Mitch Keller. They've had a lot of success versus him in their career. Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Trey Turner. All 5 of those guys have really good history versus him. So some pretty significant upside there. Obviously, Mitch Keller pitched really well to start the season, but a little bit bump in the road as of late, though. So definitely don't mind going to the Phillies today. And then we have the Chicago White Sox going against Xavier Curry for the Cleveland Guardians. I think it's his 4th start this season. He had like 2 last year. So 6th career start, not a lot of sample size there. He's pitching versus the White Sox in relief just a little bit, but White Sox bats starting to turn around a little bit as of late. So don't mind getting into that spot. And then last but not least, we have the Dodgers going against Brandon Williamson. He did have 1 start versus them earlier this season. Gave up 3 home runs in that start, so I don't mind that Dodgers lineup today. Mookie Betts is going to be a main one there. Will Smith hit a home run in that game as well. So those would be kind of the 2 ones to look out for. Maybe saving some money on some of those other cheaper Dodgers bats as well. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I have in terms of core picks, in terms of top GPP stacks and the weather report for today. If you guys have any questions whatsoever related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comments below and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on tonight's slate. Definitely interested in hearing who it is, whether it's someone from my core 5 picks, whether it's someone from my top GPP stacks, the cheat sheet, or somebody else that I missed, which there's probably a pretty good chance since there is 14 games in total for tonight's main slate. But with that being said, pretty much all that I do have at this point in time. We'll be updating the weather throughout the day. We'll be updating the starting lineups throughout the day. So definitely be sure to check out that as we get closer to the lock. If you are joining me for the very first time and have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we have MLB DFS Monday through Friday. Got CFL DFS. That video went up yesterday. That first game for CFL DFS main slate is tonight. So definitely be sure to check that video out. Get your lineups in for that over on DraftKings. And then last but not least, if you have not already done so, if you're a new or current subscriber, be sure to turn on that notification bell so you never miss a beat anytime that I do go live or post up a pre-recorded video or anything else in general on my page in terms of cheat sheets, anything else like that. We definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in, whether you're watching live or in replay. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS tonight.